Hello. So I just got back from visiting the US for some family stuff, and I ended up driving from Illinois to Maryland. Now, while I do drive, it's rare that I'm spending hours and hours a day in the car. And I found myself with some of the complaints that a lot of my clients complain about when they have to drive for a long time, which is lower back pain, knee pain, achy joints, and like stiff legs. So I thought I could do a quick video for you about why you get those things when you're driving for long periods of time and what you can do to decrease them or address them. So if you'd like some tips on how to decrease lower back pain, knee pain, and general stiffness in your legs, watch this video. So if we've not met before, my name is Catherine. I'm the founder and principal therapist at Layton Sports Massage. And this channel is all about helping you take better care of yourself, simple self-care tips, and information about how the body works. Now, I don't generally have lower back pain or knee pain. However, when I did this long stint of driving, so basically the driving that I did is I drove from Chicago to Danville, which was approximately 2.5 hours. And I drove from Danville, Illinois, across to Maryland across 2 days, which was about 6 hours of driving each day because we went through some of the back roads a little bit and we stopped a couple of places. And then I was doing a fair amount of driving while I was in Maryland. And what really surprised me is that even though I don't have regular consistent knee pain and I don't have regular consistent lower back pain, I was really stiff and achy after I was driving. So while I was on my trip, there were a few things that I did that helped me a lot in reducing that stiffness and achy pain that I was feeling. So I want to share that with you today. So number one, lower back pain. Now, if you've driven for a long period of time, you've probably noticed your lower back starts to get achy. Now, one really easy tip while you're driving to support that is to roll up a jumper or a towel and just put it up against the very bottom of your lower back. That helps to support the arch in your back. And side note, why are cars built so badly for our posture? We had rented a car and it was supposed to be a luxury SUV due to a whole saga having to do with the car rental, which I will not get into now. But even this luxury SUV that had heated seats and, a million different ways to adjust the seat still didn't allow me to put my body in a position where my head wasn't being pushed forward. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. So putting a towel under your lower back is a really great way to help support your lower back when you're driving. But why does your lower back get so sore? So there are a couple of common reasons why your lower back would get sore. So number one, when we're in a seated position, our hip flexors are shortened. And when our hip flexors are shortened for a long period of time, they start to pull on our lower back. But when you're driving, not only are your hip flexors shortened, you're also having to move your leg up and down on the pedal. So lifting it up and bringing it back down. So your hip flexors shortened and you're having to contract it in a shortened position. So of course, when you stand up, there's going to be a lot of a forward pull on your back because the main hip flexor, which is the psoas, attaches to the front of the spine. So there's the obvious things that you can do when you get out of the car, like walk around a little bit, kind of move your hips around their range of movement, forward and back, and doing circles. But one of the best things that you can do to reduce the pull on your lower back from these tight hip flexors is to stretch your hip flexors. Now, there's two main stretches that I recommend for clients, and at some point I'll probably do a video on them or link them somehow. But one of them is just your simple lunge position. And you don't want to go very far into a lunge. You can just put one foot behind the other, tilt your pelvis under, and just push your hips forward just a little bit. And you'll feel a little bit of a stretch through the front of your hip. The other one, and this is something I really like to do, especially when I'm reading in bed, is just lay so that one of your legs is hanging off the side of the bed. So if you lay on your back, let's say you want to stretch your right hip flexor, you put your left foot on the bed so your knee is bent. And the reason that you do this is that helps to keep your back flat. If you don't have the other leg with the knee bent and the foot flat on the bed, you will pull on your lower back and you'll make it worse. But so if you're stretching the right leg, you can bend the left knee, put the left foot on the bed, and then just let your right leg hang over the edge. You'll start to feel a very gentle stretch across, sometimes strong stretch across the front of the thigh, the front of the hip, and a little bit into the lower abdomen. And as long as that stretch is gentle, you're fine. And so what I'll do is like, I'll be reading a book or looking at my phone, and I'll just lay with one leg off the side of the bed, and then I'll turn around and then I'll do it on the other. You can also do this on a sofa or basically any flat surface where you're up high enough that you can lay down and have your leg hang off the side. Totally fine to have your foot on the floor. I usually have my foot on the floor when I do this. And even though I know this stuff, I didn't do that the first couple of days, that hip flexor stretch. But then when I finally got to Maryland and I laid down and I was reading and I did that stretch and I got up and I was like, oh, my back feels so much better. I wonder why. And then I was like, oh, it's because I've done the hip stretch that I tell all of my clients to do when they travel or when they have lower back pain. So that's one thing you can do. The other reason that your lower back will get tight when you're sitting for long periods of time is because of the piriformis. Now, the piriformis is a muscle at the back of the hip that goes from the base of the spine to the top of the thigh. So it's in the back of the hip. And when it is tight, it pulls on your back and it pulls on your hamstring. So then when you're bending your hips, this is pulling, and that will create a pull on the lower back. And so the way that you want to release that is you just want to do a simple piriformis stretch, which can be, putting your right foot on your left knee and sitting up straight, so you're stretching the back of the right leg. I have a video about the piriformis, which I'll link below, that talks a little bit more about it and why it's involved in lower back pain and hamstring tension, if you'd like more information on that. Now, what about the knees? Why do the knees get so achy? So again, there's a couple of reasons. For me, and this is going to be true for most people, when we are already walking around with tight quads and tight IT band, and then our knee is bent for a long period of time, like a number of hours, that is going to put a strain through the joint. So once I realized that stretching my hip flexors helped my lower back, I then did my quad stretch, which most of us know quad stretch, right? You put a strap around the front of your ankle, or you hold the front of your ankle to bring your foot up towards the back of your hip or towards your butt, and just breathe into the front of the thigh. Make sure it's not painful, make sure it's a gentle stretch, and that will help to release it. If you do that between bouts of driving, your knees will feel less sore most of the time, as long as you're stretching painlessly. The other reason that it can be that you start to get soreness in your joints or stiffness in your legs is, one of the ways that our body moves things back up through our system is because we walk around. So our leg muscles, the contraction of our leg muscles, pump things back up. And I've even heard the saying that the soleus, which is one of our calf muscles, one of the muscles in the back of our lower leg, is like the second the second heart of the body, because when it's contracting, that force of contraction is pushing blood back up and helping push the lymphatic fluid back up through our system. So if we're sitting for a long period of time, we are not getting that support. Our circulatory system is not getting that support from the contraction in the legs. And as a result, it's not as easy for things to come back up through our system. And I think that's a reason for the stiffness. I don't think that there's any research around that, but just, from my understanding and from what we know about the way that the circulatory system works and the way that the lymphatic system works. So what do you do if this is the case for you? If you think that your achiness when you're driving might be just because your legs are lower than your heart and not moving very much. So what I did is at the end of each day, I laid down and I put my feet up against the wall and I kept my ankles over my hips. And I did that for, again, about like 10 to 15 minutes, not very long. and just, and then like I also flexed and pointed my feet or did like ankle circles with my feet to help to push things back through. And I do think that that helped, not just with feeling less sticky and less restricted, but also I feel like that helped with some of the swelling that we can sometimes get around our feet and our ankles when our feet are down for long periods of time and we're not moving around very much. So those are just a few simple tips on what you can do if you notice that you're getting lower back, knee, achy legs when you're driving. If you try any of them, please let me know in the comments below if you found this video useful. I would love it if you could like it, share it with anyone you know who does a lot of driving, subscribe to the channel so you'll get notified as and when we release more videos. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to leave it in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.